Hello chess enthusiasts, let's explore an exciting and dynamic chess opening, the modern defense. This opening is a favorite for creative players. It's a bit unorthodox, but don't let that scare you. Many openings follow set patterns. The modern defense is different. It's about flexibility and reacting to your opponent's moves. This makes it a great choice for players who like to think for themselves. The modern defense can lead to complex and exciting games. Are you ready to dive in? Let's go! The modern defense starts after white plays 1d4. This is a common opening move aiming to control the center of the board right from the start. By placing a pawn on d4, white sets the stage for a strategic battle over the central squares, which are crucial in chess. Black responds with 1g6. This move is less conventional but very flexible. It prepares to fianchetto the bishop, placing it on a long diagonal where it can exert influence over the center and the queenside. This immediately tells us that black is thinking outside the box. Instead of fighting for the center with pawns, black opts for a hypermodern approach aiming to control the center with pieces. Why develop the kingside fianchettoed bishop so early? The idea is to place the bishop on g7, where it can control the long diagonal and support future pawn breaks in the center, or on the queenside. Well, that's what makes this opening so interesting. It defies traditional principles and invites both players into a complex and dynamic game. White usually continues with 2c4. This move supports the d4 pawn, and further aims to control the center, making it difficult for black to challenge white's central dominance. This is a natural move, aiming to control the center. Controlling the center allows white to have more space and flexibility for piece development. Black's most common reply is 2. Bishop g7. This completes the fianchetto and places the bishop on a powerful diagonal. Now the bishop is developed, aiming towards the center. This piece will play a crucial role in black's strategy, exerting pressure on white's central pawns. Black's plan is not about controlling the center with pawns right away. Instead, black focuses on piece activity and flexibility, waiting for the right moment to strike. Instead, black will aim for indirect control. This means using pieces like the bishop on g7 and knights to influence the center from a distance. By doing so, black keeps the position flexible and can adapt to white's plans, making the modern defense a versatile and resilient choice. The modern defense is all about flexibility. Black doesn't commit to a rigid pawn structure early on. This allows black to react to white's choices and develop pieces naturally. Instead of directly controlling the center with pawns, black aims for indirect control. This means using pieces, especially the fianchettoed bishop on g7, to influence the center squares. This indirect control can be very powerful. It allows black to develop pieces to good squares and create threats. White often has to spend time reacting to black's moves, giving black a slight advantage. One of the key strategic ideas in the modern defense is the pawn break, c5. This move challenges white's control of the center and opens up lines for black's pieces. The timing of c5 is crucial. Black usually plays it after developing the queenside knight to c6, and sometimes even the queen to a5. This way, black is ready to support the pawn break and launch a counterattack. The c5 break can lead to very sharp and dynamic positions. It's a powerful weapon in black's arsenal. Section 5. A game of finesse. Navigating the modern defense in action. The modern defense is a flexible and dynamic opening that allows black to counter white's central control with hypermodern principles. By delaying the occupation of the center with pawns, black aims to undermine white's setup from a distance, creating a complex and rich middle game. Let's look at a short example game to see the modern defense in action. This game will illustrate the key ideas and typical plans for both sides, providing a deeper understanding of this intriguing opening. 1. d4 g6-2, c4 bg7. Black fianchettos the bishop, aiming to control the long diagonal and exert pressure on the center from afar. 3. nc3 d6-4, e4 nf6-5, nf3 0-0. Black continues to develop pieces while keeping the center flexible. Castling early ensures the king's safety and connects the rooks. 6. b2 c5. Black plays the c5 break at a good moment. This move challenges white's central pawns and opens lines for black's pieces to become more active. The queenside knight is already on c6, ready to support the pawn. 7. d5 e6 8. b3 xd5 9. cxd5 re8. Black's pieces are well coordinated and the position is opening up, which favors Black's dynamic play. 10. End 2, NBD 7. Black develops pieces rapidly, aiming to create threats against White's king. 11. F3, A6. Black prepares for a pawn break on the queen side, increasing the pressure on White's position. 12. QC 2B5. Black continues to activate pieces and create threats. 13. A3 QC7. The queen move supports the B5 pawn and prepares for potential attacks on the queen side. 14. RC1 RB8. Black is ready to launch an attack on the king side. The rook move supports the B5 pawn and prepares for a potential B4 push, increasing the pressure on White's position. The game is very sharp, and White is already in a difficult position. Black's pieces are well coordinated, and the pressure on White's position is mounting. This short example shows how Black can use the modern defense to create dynamic and unbalanced positions. By keeping the center flexible and focusing on piece activity, Black can generate counterplay and create opportunities for tactical strikes. The game is far from over, but Black has a clear advantage due to the active piece play and threats against the White king. The modern defense, with its hyper-modern approach, allows Black to create a rich and complex middle game, full of possibilities for both sides. Section 6. Mastering the modern tips for success. Want to succeed with the modern defense? It's a dynamic and flexible opening that requires a deep understanding of positional play and strategic planning. Here are some tips. Embrace flexibility. The modern defense allows you to adapt to your opponent's moves. This means you need to be ready to change your plans based on the evolving position on the board. Don't be afraid to deviate from the main lines. Sometimes the best move is one that takes your opponent out of their comfort zone and forces them to think on their feet. React to your opponent's moves and find the best squares for your pieces. Control the center indirectly. Instead of occupying the center with pawns, use your pieces to exert pressure on these critical squares. Use your pieces, especially the fianchettoed bishop, to influence the center squares. The fianchettoed bishop can be a powerful weapon, controlling long diagonals and supporting your central strategy. Timing is key for c5. The c5 pawn break is a critical move in the modern defense, but it must be timed correctly to be effective. Don't rush the c5 pawn break. Ensure that your pieces are well placed and ready to support this advance. A premature c5 can lead to weaknesses in your position. Make sure your pieces are well placed to support it. Develop your pieces actively. The modern defense is all about creating threats and putting pressure on your opponent. The modern defense is all about creating threats. Look for opportunities to attack and keep your opponent on the defensive. Develop your pieces to squares where they can attack. Study model games. Analyzing games played by strong players can provide valuable insights into the nuances of the modern defense. Look at how strong players handle the modern defense. Pay attention to their strategies, tactics, and how they handle different types of positions. This will give you ideas for your own games. By studying and practicing these tips, you'll be well on your way to mastering the modern defense and achieving success in your games. Section 7. Avoiding pitfalls. Navigating common traps. Like any opening, the modern defense has its pitfalls. Here are some common traps to avoid. Don't neglect development. It's tempting to focus on pawn breaks, but don't forget to develop your pieces. Beware of early attacks. White has some early attacking ideas, so be prepared to defend accurately. Don't allow a quick e4 break. If White manages to play e4 quickly, it can be difficult for Black to equalize. Watch out for tactics. The modern defense can lead to sharp positions. Always be alert for tactical opportunities for both sides. Section 8. Conclusion. The enduring allure of the modern defense. The modern defense is a dynamic and exciting opening that offers rich strategic and tactical possibilities. It's a great choice for players who enjoy creative and unorthodox chess. By understanding the key ideas of flexibility, indirect control, and well-timed pawn breaks, you can add this powerful weapon to your opening repertoire. So go ahead and embrace the modern defense. You might be surprised at the exciting and complex games that await.